We have seen this mysterious place go through a lot, and we have uncovered many of its secrets. For instance, a single disaster caused everything here to grow to monstrous proportions. We also discovered the hidden scorpion cave in the manufacturing shed after the gate was smashed. Additionally, we found out that Sam is actually a girl. One thing we haven't explored yet is a cave that opened up from the explosion and then got flooded by the heavy rains. In the dark of the cave lives the undisputed king of the underwater creatures. We thought that snails or shrimp looked massive compared to the aquatic microfauna. But this thing is 10 times bigger than even the larger shrimp. And here it is. This looks more like a corpse than a living being, but it's moving. Oh, it's not actually moving by itself, it's just an empty shell that the shrimp pick apart. An exoskeleton like this contains a ton of chitin, a complex carbohydrate, but the shrimp have enzymes to break it down. A freshly molded shell like this may also contain residual proteins, minerals and other compounds that are rare and valuable as a food source for our scavengers and detrivores. Within the next days, it will be completely broken down. From the exoskeleton, we can roughly imagine what this titan looks like. The animal that left it behind is more vulnerable right after molting because its new shell is still soft. It hides deep in the cave, so we have to look for it later. Meanwhile on land we are just in time to witness an incredibly rare moment. You might remember those weird looking pods. One is hatching right now. A few dozen babies are fighting their way into this world. For some of them, their journey is over before it even begins. The weakest ones don't have enough strength to fight their way out of the cocoon, while many others will be hunted down before nightfall, and you won't guess who their killer is. They have one interesting defense though. Even though they are not, in the first stage of their lives they look like fire ants, which are known for their painful stings and aggressive behavior. If this mimicry gives them protection, we'll find out now, because all this commotion has made an old friend of ours come out. Samantha is intrigued by these younglings. She watches them climb into elevated places, but she's not hunting them. Their defensive tactics might have worked. For now. Let's see what Samantha has been up to in the meantime. She's having fun balancing on the old gate. Unfortunately, in absence of a male partner, those eggs have not been fertilized and did not develop into offspring. But something else happened. In order to grow bigger, she shed her shell. And she doesn't let it go to waste, instead she eats the whole thing. This sounds very familiar to what happened to the unidentified exoskeleton below water. Let's see if we have more luck this time and find out who lives in that underwater cave. Wait, what is... This thing is charging at us! Oh, it's a male crayfish. He bulldozes through the vegetation in search of food, overturning the ground. His small claws called cheilipids sift through the substrate. He has a noticeable porcelain-colored exoskeleton like the mold we have seen earlier. This must be it, the creature from the cave we've been looking for. Let's call him Snow White after his color. Although he's primarily a scavenger and occasionally eats plants, he's an opportunistic feeder that hunts other animals too if he can catch them. He grabs one of the snails and goes to town. Heavily battered, the snail survives as the crayfish can't quite pierce its shell. Over time, the crayfish will learn to go for easier meals than this. Nevertheless, his place is at the top of the aquatic environment, as he has no predators here. Snow White moves through the aquatic groves as he pleases. The shrimp are too fast for him though, and easily find cover in the vegetation. His home is the cave, and he will defend it aggressively, so it may be best if we keep our distance. We have seen the vegetation grow over time, and it's now that it has reached its peak in diversity and growth. In their competition for light and space, some plants die off while others get eaten. Their nutrients get broken down and return into the earth by the help of other organisms like our first creature feature, the yellow-spotted millipede. For one of them, its journey came to an end. Its body is slowly decomposing. Even in death, the millipede's existence held purpose. During its life, it reproduced, leaving behind a legacy through its offspring. We encounter a baby millipede, and then another. We discover more and more of them in all stages of growth. An amazing new generation, while the old one is slowly forgotten. Speaking of older generations, we haven't seen what the adult version of this hatchling looks like. Because their mother is quite infamous, a dangerous predator, a swift killer and the final creature. This is the jeweled flower mantis, the creature feature of this episode. She's able to fly, and if threatened, she will spread her colorful wings with spots that look like eyes to appear more dangerous. If you like this artwork as a phone background for free, or you want to support me with a donation, you can head to my Patreon, links in the description. And a special shout out to my 3 Patreon subscribers, Bonnet B, Jay Bowden and Nick3865. Now back to our mantis. Her actual eyes are highly sensitive to movement, which helps her spot insects she can ambush. She relies on her camouflage to surprise prey. With her highly developed nervous system and specialized muscles, she can strike in just 50 to 70 milliseconds. The dubia roach is struggling to escape, but the mantis' spiked claws are incredibly strong. There is no escape. She eats her prey alive. I wish I could say the roach had a quick and painless death, but this is a part of nature. We might find it unsettling, as we're not used to moments like this. However, hunting live animals is the only way this mantis feeds, and to her it's not only natural but simply the way to survive. Another natural part is what happens after the digestion. Now, Samantha doesn't fall in the category of animals that the mantis typically hunts. But the mantis might not know this. Not only is Samantha heavier, also her shell is almost impenetrable, unless she has recently molted. Since she did molt, her shell is still soft, but the claws of the mantis might still not pierce through. But they don't need to. If she can just hold Samantha down, the mantis can cut through with her hard mouthpieces, the mandibles. They went through the roach's shell like through butter. and mantises have been known to kill creatures larger than themselves. The mantis is locked in on Samantha. She follows her in every single move. She's actually preparing to strike. Yeah, there is no chance that she can hurt the absolute unit and tank that Samantha is. This was a risky attack for the mantis, and a risk that she will not take again, as there is easier prey. A little later there is something really special happening. Something we are incredibly lucky to witness. The mantis is producing a cocoon of eggs right in front of us. She secretes a frothy substance from specialized glands at the tip of her abdomen. The eggs are deposited inside this frothy substance. The whole thing is called ootheca. This froth quickly hardens when exposed to air, forming a protective casing. In the midst of this spectacle, another familiar predator is approaching. Yeah, I know this situation is a bit too bizarre for the scorpion. From now on it will only come out during the night for hunting. Creating the ootheca has drained a lot of energy. Her body is weakened and it has left the mantis very hungry. If she doesn't find prey soon, she might even die from the exhausting egg laying. There are still many younglings of her own kind. She attacks one. It got away, but it's not over yet. Another lucky miss. Oh, it walked right into it. Small nymph made a fatal mistake. This species is highly cannibalistic. After finishing, the mother already lays eyes on the next youngling. This one tries to escape by climbing upwards, but it's easy to spot when it's moving. Don't fall down now. The little one successfully reached the roof and joins his brothers and sisters. Carefully they are exploring the world around them and each other. Don't forget though, their mom is also a skilled climber. She catches another one. This is a very hungry mother. Luckily, soon after she caught a dubia roach that will make her full for a while. After she finished, she cleans her claws. We can see how over the next days the ootheca hardens. And sometimes in the future, a new generation will hatch from it. If you have been here since the beginning, you have witnessed this special place go through many changes. Over the 100 days, the ecosystem has completely established itself, with different species successfully living alongside. And even the very first creatures are still here, together with some newer ones. There has been growth, sickness, injuries, decay. But we have also seen protagonists fight for themselves, work with their environment, bend it to their will and come out on top. We We have seen different growth stages and different species trying to survive. Not all of them made it. And even though there is certain death at the end of the line for all of us, there is always new life if you look close enough. And just like this new generation of fragile beings that take on the adventures of the world one day at a time, so will you. Thank you for watching.